Stand-up comedy is something that has been around for a very long time. Legendary comedians dating all the way back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s have been part of pop culture history for many years. Comedy is very subjective. Everyone seems to have their favorite decade of comedy, and I'm no different. For me, it's the 1980s, which had some of the best comedians this world will ever see, from Eddie Murphy, Sam Kinison, Howie Mandel, Andrew Dice Clay, Robin Williams, and of course, Mr. Stephen Wright. This decade is hard to beat and is truly the golden age of stand-up. Now, what makes a favorite to someone can differ from person to person, so in this video I'm going to be looking into my own personal reasons why Stephen Wright's special is my favorite comedy special of all time. So let's get this thing started. Deadpan comedy has been around a long time, dating all the way back to the late 1800s. T.W. Barrett would be the first one credited for performing in a deadpan manner. And in the early 1900s, Buster Keaton earned the name Stoneface by always keeping a deadpan expression while doing crazy physical comedy. So, Stephen Wright is definitely not the first comedian to use a deadpan style, but to me, he's still the king of deadpan comedy. With his laid-back persona, offbeat humor, and unique delivery that has inspired many stand-up comedians through the years. There was just no one like him at the time. A Stephen Wright comedy special is filled with nothing but witty one-liners, each one being more quotable than the next.
I like to leave messages before the beep.
These ingenious jokes are made up by Stephen Wright's observations of the things around him. And I have to say, the jokes on this special make me laugh harder than any other comedy special out there. And one of the big reasons for that is because of his deadpan delivery. Yeah, it's just that good.
I was once arrested for walking in someone else's sleep.
This classic intro does not have a single word of dialogue. As we look into the world of Stephen Wright, it becomes a game of observation. Noticing the ice skates hanging on the outside of the house, the Oreos inside the fridge, and of course the box of powdered water.
I bought some powdered water, but I don't know what to add.
To me, it's comedy genius at its best. I mean, how can you not laugh at things like Stephen Wright going over to brush his teeth and turning on the sink faucet as the shower water turns on? I mean, it's just hilarious. And somehow it gets even better, as my favorite part has to be when he walks away and locks the gate. It's classic. The outro, although very short, is also very classic as we see Stephen Wright walk away from his set, leaving the building. We once again get to see things right out of his jokes from his special. As he walks past his trophy model buddy, hops on the bus, sits next to the blonde, and heads down the road. It's quick, it's funny, it's classic, and a great way to end this amazing special.
Please welcome from Boston, Massachusetts, Stephen Wright.
I Have a Pony is one of only 2 albums released by Mr. Stephen Wright. The success of the album is what would lead to a Stephen Wright special. Although there are some differences in the material and structure between the album and the special, they still both share a lot of the same jokes, as they were both produced around the same time, truly making them go together. I mean, if you buy the I Have a Pony album on CD, it probably will come with a Stephen Wright special with it on DVD. Like mine does. Being able to listen to the album when I couldn't watch the special really made me hooked on this material, making me love the special even more. Stephen Wright releasing albums is not the only rare thing the comedian did, as he also only released 3 specials in his entire career, truly making these specials like gold. If you ask me what my second favorite stand-up special is, I would answer Stephen Wright's second special, Wicker Chairs and Gravity, released in 1990, which did not get any VHS or DVD releases, as far as I know at least. And it did not get an album produced with similar material, which is a bummer. I just didn't get to know this material as well. You had to either catch it on TV back in the day and tape it on VHS, or wait till YouTube came around to be able to watch it whenever. but it's still a classic that's not far behind the first special for me. And for his third special, which was produced a year prior of his second album, I Still Have a Pony, both having similar material, and the special this time would be released on DVD. And it's pretty good. Not quite up there with his first two specials for me, but I still got a lot of laughs and enjoyment out of it. Like I said earlier, these specials' rarity really makes them like gold for me, and no special quite reaches the classicness of the first one.
Feeling kind of hyper.
Your stand up performance can be affected in a positive or negative way depending on the venue. And as strange as that may seem, it is true. The vibe and the feel of a venue can either damage a performance or make it better. A Stephen Wright special was filmed at Wolfgang's in San Francisco, which is what it was called at the time, as it has changed names many times through the years. And this was the perfect place for Mr. Stephen Wright's first special, with the solid black curtain background with the old history feel of the building, was perfect for his deadpan style.
Right now I'm having amnesia and deja vu at the same time.
By 1985, Stephen Wright really had mastered his on-stage persona. I've seen clips of him on Johnny Carson and Saturday Night Live, and they're great, but by 1985, with years of crafting his art, he had really mastered his craft, being at the top of his game. And I don't believe he quite ever reached the level of his on-stage performance from this special again. He did come close in his second special, but this is perfection at its best.
First time I ever read the dictionary, I thought it was a poem about everything. Sorry, my mind was wandering.
The Stephen Wright special has 0 bad words in it, and I find this to be really cool. I know he's not the first comedian to pull this off, but to me, he's the best. And I don't have anything against cussing in comedy. I love comedians like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, and Sam Kinison, who all have pretty big potty mouths. It's definitely more common to cuss in stand-up. There hasn't been too many clean stand-up comedians through the years, especially after the 70s. And like I said before, no one does it better than Stephen Wright. And this also opens up his comedy to many different types of people.
She was buying clothes, and I was putting slinkies on the escalators.
Stephen Wright is actually a very talented musician, so being a lover of music, it makes sense for him to do a song as part of his set. I've seen songs done in other comedy acts, and there are some good ones. But Stephen Wright's is different. His music skills go way beyond what you see in the song he plays in the special. But that's part of the brilliance of it. Being done completely in his monotone deadpan voice, this song is hilarious. The ending of this special just would not be the same without it. It's very unique, making it just that much more amazing. It's a song I would put on my weekly playlist, that's for sure.
Why is the alphabet in that order? Is it because of that song?
This reason I love a Stephen Wright special so much is very simple, and that is, he's my favorite stand-up comedian of all time. I was not fortunate enough to enjoy watching him as a stand-up comedian through the 80s. I was just not old enough at the time. It's something I would have to experience later. My first experience with the comedian would actually be on the classic 90s sitcom, Mad About You.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Stephen Wright would only be on 5 episodes of the sitcom, but it still had a lasting impression on me. I never forgot him, and I always wondered, will I ever see that one guy from Mad About You again? Well, that question would be answered in 1998 when I seen him in a movie called Half Baked, playing a classic character, the guy on the couch. This made me stop at nothing to find out who this guy was. Shortly after, I'd find a Stephen Wright special on VHS at the thrift store, and it was like my entire world all of a sudden made sense. His deadpan delivery is something I relate to, as it's how I naturally talk, usually with a very deadpan expression on my face. Now, if I could only relate to being funny, 'Cause that I don't have. As Stephen Wright is an extremely funny comedian who delivers witty one-liners that can't be beat. His appearance with his wacky hair may mislead you to think that this is not a very clever man, but in reality, he's extremely intelligent. His love for art makes him a naturally observant person, and that's where a lot of his genius comes from. It's a perfect recipe for his one-liner deadpan style. And to me, there's just no one better.
Bumped into a good friend of mine. He said, "How come you never call me anymore?" I said, "I can't call everyone I want. My phone has an 05 on it."
Well, that's it. These are my reasons for loving this comedy special so much. With me, it could be a part, a fact, a laugh, a song, or many other reasons a comedy special could be at the top. And it's close with so many classic stand-up comedians out there. However, for me, my favorite comedy special will always be a Stephen Wright special.
I said, "What do you mean you close the science is open 24 hours?" He said, "Not in a row."